2 videos in 2 days? What is happening? And also, give me 1 second because my mic is all crazy. But Jason, aka Big Chill Squad, aka one of my best friends, uh, I promised you I will give you a breakdown of your team today. So I spent a lengthy amount of time looking at the relevant players on your team. I'm not going through everybody by any. That would take entirely way too long, and you'll see what I mean when you see the level of depth I went in on these things. So I called your team old yesterday. I said it's not how I would build a dynasty. I don't. I build a dynasty team around young wide receivers, and you have done so. It looks like more around young running backs. But let's get into it. Forgive me if I'm slow on this shit. I've got to pull up Google Sheets here, and we'll get it going. But here we go. All right, Jason, the trio of Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. That's an average age of 34. That's pretty old. So Trevor Lawrence first. He is obviously the gem of that group right there. He's had a couple good seasons in 22 and 23, and a real disappointing season based on where his ADP was last year. I love, dude. I love his weapons. Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. I don't know if y'all have seen the video clips of them running like drills in practice. They both look so fast, so agile, locked in. Love his at least his two wide receiver, his two top, we'll say, weapons at wide receiver. Um, and Liam Cohen definitely seems like a goober. The shit was weird. But he has had success with his offenses before. I mean, he was at Tampa Bay last year, and Tampa Bay was a whole ass like they were really, really, really good. I guess the real cutting through like the surface level stuff, the vibes are going to be forever off with Trevor Lawrence when it comes to how fantasy managers look at him because he was supposed to be this generational talent, and he just like that hasn't come to fruition at all. This is, in my opinion, the make or break year for him in terms of fantasy production. Um, Personally, I'm on the side that he'll finish as a top 12 QB for the first time in his career and give fantasy managers a really consistent and solid starter moving forward. I don't know that he'll always be a top 12 QB for the rest of his career, but I could definitely see him flirting with that line. Um, his weapons are just so good. He's a good he's a good quarterback. He's just not great. He's just not what he was drafted to be. And that's always going to make us feel, at least it's always going to make me feel like a little about him. On to Russell Wilson. He's going to be starting for his fourth team in 5 years, and this is like when I see Russ's name on a roster, I just like ugh. I don't have anything redeeming to really say about him. I mean, other than he'll be a solid like quarterback two, like 13 to 24, probably more in the 20 sort of range. If he can hold off Jackson Dart for this year, but like even if he does, I just don't. His ceiling is so low, but he does have a good floor. Like, and that's good stuff. Neighbors is probably going to be the most talented wide receiver he's ever played with. Sorry, DK, Drop King Metcalf, as I've called him. So that is a point in Russ's favor. It's just, what is the team going to do? What is their philosophy going to be? Because on paper, they have a good looking defense. And they've got, we'll talk about Cam Scadaboo here in a couple minutes. And they also have Tyrone Tracy. They've repaired a little bit, done a little bit of repairing of the offensive line as well. So I'm just going to look that up real quick. Where they have, so the New York Giants, according to FTN Fantasy, they're ranked 25th in terms of offensive line strength going into 2025. They got a lot of young guys on that offensive line too, so it could be better or it could be worse. And then finally, on to Aaron Rodgers. So when I started deep diving, he really surprised me. Like, he's not as bad for fantasy in 2024 as I thought he was. He had almost 4,000 yards and 28 touchdowns. I just moving forward, I just don't know about this dude, man. Like, if the rumors are true, and it seems like they are, he's going to be the starter for the Steelers. I don't like that for fantasy whatsoever. Given that he's your third quarterback, that's awesome. Like, good, that's depth. But the Steelers are built to establish it. They're going to establish it. Real macho, high testosterone. And they're going to protect the ball. They're going to play great defense like they always do. And they're going to protect the ball in the passing game. So he's going to have a game manager style. Like, gone are the 2011, 2012, like top two finishes. Um, I'm sure they'll go 8-9 or freaking 9-8. Ruin my $30 freaking future I put on them. But just that outlook, like, of him being a game manager for a team that really only has DK Metcalf as a pass catcher. Sorry, Pat Fryermuth. It's just, for a 41-year-old, like, half crazy, the dude is wild. Quarterback, that situation is just bleak to me. So aside from Trevor Lawrence, I just don't like the quarterback room. And Trevor Lawrence I don't think he's ever finished I think his highest fantasy finish per game was like 13 or 14. So he's never finished as a quarterback one, as a top 12 quarterback. Can he do it this year? We'll see. Given that this is a super flex league, I personally give a lot of, for teams that have two good starting quarterbacks on their roster, I give those teams a little more credit and, like, rank them higher than teams that's just like, oh, he's okay, it's solid. But yeah, Russ could be out of a job, and Aaron Rodgers could just, I don't know. He's so weird. I can't stand this dude. All right, on to running back. Dude, your running back room is real nice. Like, once again, I didn't go through every single player on the roster, but I went with 2, 3, 7 running backs here. Like, his 7th running back is Nick Chubb. That's pretty damn good. Like, granted, we have no idea. We'll talk about Nick Chubb in a minute, but the belle of the ball is Ashton Genty. Great freaking draft capital. New offensive coordinator, new old offensive coordinator, whatever. Chip Kelly ranked 4th, 5th, 7th, and 11th in attempts during his 4 seasons in the NFL. And Genty had like 30 total touchdowns last year at Boise State. Um, I'm not a college guy. Let me just put that out there now. So Jason's got a decent amount of rookies on this team. I'm not a college guy, but the dude is the 101 for was fudge. I don't know how much of that you got, because it said the mic started over again. So Ashton Genty, really good, really like him. Mr. Nasty Time. They'll just sum that up for you real quick. So I'm looking at a different freaking page. So if it goes off, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening to this damn thing. On to Brees Hall, 24 years old. He finished as the RB7, RB7, and RB18 in his 3 seasons since joining the league. He's crazy involved in the passing game, uh, according to Player Profiler. Number 1 in routes run and number 3 in target share for running backs. Pretty good. It's definitely not. So it was weird in looking at, like, those advanced, like, metrics they call them, or like the peripheral metrics that kind of give you an idea of, like, okay, this dude is really good. He's not involved in the red zone at much at all. Um, so I don't know. My thought is that's just a symptom of a really bad offense in New York. The offensive line is ranked 14th according to PFN. Is it PFN? What the hell did I call it? FTN. Jesus Christ. Um, my problem with Brees Hall this year in particular is I worry that the pass attempts are going to be real far down with Fields and defensive-minded Aaron Glenn as head coach. I feel like they're going to try to establish it as well. High T, baby. But his new offensive coordinator, I forget the name, Tanner, I've got it pulled up here. Tanner Engstrand. He was the passing game coordinator in Detroit the past 2 years. So he has familiarity with, like, what Dan Campbell and the Detroit philosophy is. And so he's a Ben Johnson disciple, if you will. So we'll see. Maybe that he adds some stuff into that, and he's not a bad coordinator, but it is his first offensive coordinator gig, so that's a little worrying. But all in all, I think Breece Hall should bounce back to the RB1 sort of production, but I do not expect the same level of involvement in the receiving game. I think he's probably I think his ceiling is probably RB6, and that's with 12 touchdowns. I don't think that's going to happen. I think more of a realistic outcome is probably RB12, RB10, RB12, something like that. On to Alvin Kamara. I'm going to call it. This is the year he finally falls off. He's 29. I think he's turning 30 here in just a little, here in just a couple. I think he's going to be 30 to start the season. This is going to be an absolutely abysmal offense, probably worst in the league. I mean, I could see the upside case being that he gets 10 targets a game as Tyler Shuck's safety blanket, essentially, which is how Kamara has made his hay in the past anyways. He's never been a prolific rusher for the most part. I think in 2023 was his career high, but his metrics for rushing have fallen off the past 2 or 3 years, but he's been so involved in the pass game and makes up for it for fantasy. And we don't really give a shit how he gets there as long as he gets there in fantasy. But I worry a lot about the wear and tear. This is his. Do you realize he's going into his 9th NFL season. He has 2,116 touches just in the NFL on his body, man. I think this is the year. Whatever you want to say, say whatever you want. But they brought in CEH. They drafted Kendre Miller in the 3rd round in 2023. They drafted another running back this year. The writing's on the wall that they think maybe Kamara is starting to slow down, or they're preparing for the future without him. All right. On to Cam Scatterbo. I don't know how the fuck you say this dude's name. The man was prolific in college. I'm not a college guy, but I definitely saw some highlights of him, and Jesus Christ, he was fun. 293 attempts, 1,715 rushing yards, 45 receptions and 605 receiving yards, 24 total TDs, and a 93rd percentile dominator rating. So the dominator rating takes into account the yards and touchdowns basically for your position in college. 93rd percentile is that's pretty damn good. He ran slow at the combine, but his film says he's not slow. And maybe that's just because he played at Arizona State. I don't know what he would look like going up against SEC defenders, but the dude's got some crazy contact balance. He's a big guy. And he should immediately be the goal line back in New York. What value is in being the goal line back for New York? I don't know, but he will have to compete with Tyrone Tracy for opportunities. But the ceiling is high for him. I mean, if New York bounces, if Russ is the answer, or maybe even Jackson Dart is oh shit, this dude is good. He could get. This is crazy. He could get 10, 12 touchdowns. But if there isn't a QB answer in New York, his floor, so his floor is very low. His ceiling is very high. So he's a little too. How do you say that? He's a little too his variance is too high for me. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have Cam Scatterbo on my roster. And as Jason, as your 4th running back on the roster, I'm just in terms of what I'm considering dynasty value, that's really good. I don't have anything bad to say about I think the floor could be low. That's the only bad thing I really have to say. Ollie Gordon, he's a big boy. 6'1", 226, 86th percentile dominator rating, 36 total TDs over the last 2 college football seasons. Only issue with him, and not the only issue, but a big issue is that he has no chance to be the workhorse, obviously barring injury to Devon Achane, but he could immediately siphon some old red zone opportunities from Achane. He actually saw, so Achane it's kind of crazy, 51 red zone touches or opportunities. I can't remember which one it is. And then 12 goal line carries for Achane in 2024. So getting somebody a little bit bigger, a little bit somebody that obviously knows how to score touchdowns with 36 total touchdowns over the past 2 college football seasons. He could be a little bit of a Lindell White. How about that? A throwback little Titan name for you. On to Austin Eckler. I love Austin Eckler as like a human being, and genuinely, I've always thought he was very good in for fantasy or just fun to watch. And as a depth piece for this team, as the sixth running back, that's fucking dude. That's nasty. Like that's great. He's going to have a role in the receiving game, and he's going to spell starter Brian Robertson Jr. From time to time. And he was actually really efficient at 4.8 yards per carry in 2024. Like surprisingly enough, and this Washington offense should be good. I think Eckler's a real sneaky start for 2025. After this year, I think he's done. But uh, he's a seventh RB of relevance on this. Rel, I said relevance on this roster. Likely find himself as a number two somewhere once like the wave of injuries from like OTA/training camp start. I don't know. I don't think at 29, yeah, he's going to be 29 or he is 29. He's ever going to get back to the way he was a few years ago in Cleveland. But as the seventh running back on this roster, brother, I'm good with that, and I'm always rooting for Mr. Chode. So all in all, running backs are really like the running backs. The only issue I have is I really do think Kamara's cooked. I don't think he's gonna return value this year. But Genty, Hall, Scadaboo, Eckler, yeah, I think we're good. And Ollie Gordon he could be real good depending on injuries in front of him. So on to wide receiver, we got Chris Olave is up first. Might be the most divisive person in all of Dynasty Fantasy Football, at least at wide receiver. Because, dude, no joke, he's literally like one concussion away from potentially like having to retire. But the talent is unquestionable. He has been good when healthy, consistent and good, but not great. And he hasn't lived up to the hype. Like we've wanted him to be. Like we're like I think it was like last year or the year before. Everybody's taking him in like round two. I mean, I got sucked in. Not gonna lie. Um, his best season though was 2023. He finished as the wide receiver 21 in points per game in half PPR leagues. The way he was being drafted, you would think he finished it in the top 12. So he's been good, not great. Um, as your wide receiver one on your team, this is where our philosophies differ. Is like I would not never you you can't have that much volatility at such a what's supposed to be safe position in your roster. But once again, philosophies differ. George Pickens, Dallas, number 2 in Dallas. Let's go, baby. The volume's going to be there. I'll tell you that much because Dallas is going to be very close to the top in pass attempts because the O line and the running back rooms suck. Um, my question is, how is he going to react to not being like the top option on the team? He's showed himself to be a little bit of a crybaby, a little bit of a diva, if you will. But he has been used. I love his usage, and I think he's very good at being a deep threat, which is something Dallas has lacked sorely for several years. I think Terrence Williams may have been the last viable deep threat for us because Brandon Cooks couldn't stay healthy, and he kept having to move up to be number 2 in the freaking pecking order, anyways. Um, this is, I think Pickens is really good. Honestly, I think he's really good as a wide receiver. His catchable target rate in 2024 ranked 71st among wide receivers. However, his expected fantasy points per game was 16.7, which ranked 18th among wide receivers. So he was getting really high probability targets, but the targets themselves, the throws themselves sucked, basically. Um, The quality of targets is going to improve with Dak at quarterback. Say what you will about Dak, but he's better than anything. He's better than Russell Wilson. We know that much. And then whoever the hell else started for Pittsburgh last year, I can't remember now. Um, he's got a like honestly, he's really got a chance to be a. I think he's going to be a really good flex option, and maybe even sneak into the back of like the wide receiver 2 range, depending on the efficiency. If he can have kind of a Rashid Shaheed sort of 2024, where Shaheed just kept hitting on those freaking long bombs, he can be up there. He can have 8 touchdowns and like with on like close to 1,000 yards on like 65 catches or something. Like he could legit return a lot of value. So I like that, bro. Every time I look at this fucking thing, it says my microphone stopped. So I don't even know what in the world is happening. I don't know how much of this shit that you're actually getting. I got to figure out what's going on with that. My apologies. I think this microphone, I have like a little, I forget what it's called, audio interface now. I think it might be too much for this piece of shit computer to handle. It's like, oh God. Um, so maybe I'll upgrade the old computadora soon enough. All right, Debo. Moving on to Debo Samuel. He's 29 years old. Washington, a new commander. I actually love Debo in 2025. His yards after catch ability, like his just what he does well, fits so perfect with like Clint Kingsbury. Sorry, Cliff Kingsbury's like horizontal sort of offensive scheme. Like he's going to be given. I think he's going to be given every opportunity to rack up freaking yards after the catch. The question is just always, as is always with Debo, since he basically entered the league, has just been injuries. And the older it gets, obviously, the more risk of injuries occurring there is. Um, I just for this season, love him moving forward. And I play fantasy in like a 3-year window. I don't like it. He's on a 1-year deal. He's gonna just have to hope to play really well, and then somebody's gonna be willing have to be willing to sign him to a 2-3-year deal. Um, like at 30 years old. I just for the future, I don't like it. For this season, I love me some Debo Samuel. Let me get that. Um, moving on to DeAndre Hopkins, dude. It just makes me sad. This whole evaluation makes me sad. So I'm gonna read it verbatim, and we'll move on. The Ravens rankings in the NFL in pass attempts over the previous 3 seasons, starting in was it 2022, 28th, 30th, 31st. I love me some DeAndre Hopkins. He was literally the first player I ever drafted in a dynasty league, but he's old as hell, man. He's going to be 33 in like 20 days, something like that. He's a reliable veteran, a Jason Witten-esque sort of. He'll be there on third downs. He'll be where he needs to be. He'll find a soft spot in the zone. He'll move the chains, but he ain't doing shit after the catch. He's falling down. He's Tyler Lockett. He's Jason Wittening. Um, His yards after catch have been bad the past 3 or 4 seasons. And really, dude, he is at best the second option on the team that's going to run the ball a ton and is not going to pass the ball a lot. Lamar has always been hyper efficient, but he's going to you're going to have to get touchdowns for Hopkins to return any sort of value. I mean, he's a flex player for you considering your roster. That's just such a low floor. I really don't see it as a high ceiling, like a decent ceiling play. Um, I'm sorry. I just don't like DeAndre Hopkins for fantasy. Love him. Love watching him play. He's great. Loved watching him play, I should say. I don't. So next up is Hollywood Brown. I really don't have a lot to say on Hollywood. He'll be behind Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, and Xavier Worthy in target share. He's a great best ball play, I think, but he's been a major disappointment in Dynasty like his entire career. So I really don't have a whole lot to say about Hollywood Brown. He is another really low floor, and I think higher than DeAndre Hopkins' ceiling. For dude, I mean, 6 years younger. He's 27. He could see some injuries in front of him or something like that, but dude, I don't like that. On to the Titans. I don't know if I'm even saying his homie's name right. Erik Ayo Manor. Draft capital matters. He's 22 years old. Sorry. He was a second of the fourth round rookie wide receivers picked by Tennessee this year. He is big. He is fast. He has a large catch radius, and he was in the 83rd percentile in the college dominator rating. So that's good. But what the fuck did I write? Oh, so the jury is out on him because obviously he's a rookie, but he's a young piece for you. And I personally, I like drafting players like CeeDee Lamb or Zeke or whoever it is, like a player on my team, my NFL team that I can watch and actually like really root for more than just for fantasy. That's always fun. And last but least, in wide receivers here, it's going to be Mike Williams, 30 years old. Depth at wide receiver is important, absolutely. And you do have depth at wide receiver. I just question the talent level of the entire wide receiver room on your team is not great, in my opinion. Either the talent or the situation is not great, aside from George Pickens. I really like that. Mike Williams is at an NFL age now where he may go to heaven if he takes a fall after a catch like he used to with the Chargers, but he would like high point the ball and just like fall down, and like Jim Ross would be screaming, "By God, he's broken in half." Um, he's likely the third option behind Lab McConkey and Trey Harris on a team with Harbaugh. I can't say homie's name. Harbaugh. There we go. And Greg Roman. They want to establish it. And they get like that when they think about running the ball and playing defense. They're just like, God. And they have to call their wives up and be like, get here now. I got to get these rocks off, because they just love it. They love running the football, playing defense, and boring the shit out of everybody in the stadium and watching on TV. To me, dude, like I think Williams is irrelevant this season aside from a game or two. I think if I've drafted one best ball team, I'll probably try and grab him in like the last round of best ball. And that's the only thing I want to do with him when it comes to fantasy this year. On to the tight end room, Mark Andrews, 29. He'll be 30 during the 2025 season. So I got some numbers here. 9.05, 7.5, 6.1, 4.05. Those are his targets per game over the last 4 seasons. 7.1, 4.9, 4.5, 3.2. Those are his receptions per game over the last 4 seasons. So we see the trend. It's not a good trend. Brother, I don't know. I know I had a funny little anecdote here. I just wanted to say that I was doing research on Mark Andrews, and I typed in Mark Henry into the fantasy data search bar, and I for the next like 10 minutes I had somebody going to get their ass kicked, somebody going to get their wig split stuck in my head. So that was funny. 41% of his fantasy points in 2024 came via touchdown. That's 1,000% unsustainable given the lack of passing volume in the Ravens offense. And Baltimore has to pay either Andrews or Likely in the offseason. And I think it's going to be Likely. I don't think it's going to be Mark Andrews, man. So moving forward, like this season and moving forward, dude, there's some massive red flags. And I am concerned about Mark Andrews, like a lot. On to Zach Ertz, my dude. Dude, that guy's played so many. I was doing research on him, and I had to like scroll down to see all of his seasons played on Pro Football Reference. I was like, oh shit, dude, he had a really good season in 2024. Like 91 targets, 66 receptions, 654 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He was a tight end 9 in points per game and half PPR. Like that's good. He's a good chain mover. But I just can't, with Debo being there. And the development of I think he was a second round rookie in 2024, Ben Sinnott. He's not going to repeat an 18.1% target share. And it's likely, but this offense, as I said, I think with Debo, it's going to be a good to great offense, lots of scoring opportunities. And he was 4th among tight ends in red zone targets in 2024. So if he pulls a Mark Andrews and catches 10 touchdowns, then he'll have value. But like, I really think the days of him like PPRing himself to relevance are over. But I think he's the best. I genuinely think he's the best tight end you have for fantasy on your roster. And then Elijah Arroyo, like I said, I'm not a Seattle tight end, 22 years old, not a college guy, like I said earlier, but he is very fast. And the Seattle coaching staff is already talking him up, so I like that. Um, he's going to be involved likely. And Cooper Kupp is cooked, in my humble opinion. So Arroyo, he should have some impact, or should have some opportunity to make an impact his first 2 or 3 years in the league. So I like this for maybe a stash-ish this year. Maybe let's see if if he flashes anything. And then moving forward, 2026 and beyond, I'm like, okay, this dude might have a little something, something. But those are all the relevant players on your roster, Jason, in my opinion. Um, I After deep diving it, I liked your team a little more than I initially thought that I did when I was doing rankings and stuff. But your wide receiver room, dude, is awful. Sorry to tell you, your running back room is great. When I say great, I mean you've got Genty and Brees Hall, which I really like. Those are the two like cornerstones that I don't think anything is going to like change over the next 2 or 3 years with them. Like Brees Hall might go to a different team, but I think Brees Hall is still top tier talent. The rest of the running back room is either really old or rookies. So, but that's really all I got, man. I hope you enjoyed it. I spent way too long like doing research. I like that doing that shit. As you know, we did a bunch of podcasts together. So hope you enjoyed it, brother. And take care. Love you, bud.